With that, I'm going to get things rolling here as we announce the winner of the 2025 Dow Carnahan Media Award. This is an award that we established back in 2016 to honor a member of our local media for their coverage and for their service to covering the PAC through the years. It was established after longtime St. Vincent play-by-play announcer Dow Carnahan, who passed away tragically that year, who was if you didn't know Dow, he was just a tremendous ambassador and friend for the PAC. And the 2025 recipient is a man who's been a mainstay in media in Western PA for over 40 years, John Sacco. John has worked for a number of media outlets in that time, and currently and most recently has been a writer for the Washington Observer Reporter. He's a true professional and a friend and a great colleague. And I would add that John has left, through his family, has a tremendous legacy in media, both in the PAC, in Western PA, and even beyond. But here today to introduce John and to prepare for him to receive this year's Carnahan Award is his son, Jack Sacco.
Just like to start by saying thank you to Commissioner Onderco and the rest of the PAC office and St. Vincent College for putting this together today. It's truly a great thing that we have this media day here. This is my first time attending, and I mean it's very cool experience to even just be here. I just want to start by offering good luck and good health to all the President's Athletic Conference competitors and coaches this season. My last 3 years at Washington and Jefferson, I've really grown a love for both my school and my conference. I've had the pleasure of broadcasting games that involved each of the schools represented here today, and it has been a wonderful experience to not only research the history of the PAC, but to get to experience it in person. I do have my own stake in things, being a W&J student. I've worked with Coach Sirianni and W&J football these last 3 years. But the strength of the PAC, especially in football, is a source of pride for me, and it should be for everyone else here today. As for this year's honoree of the Dow Carnahan Media Award, John Sacco has been a consistent presence in the PAC. The genesis of my dad's coverage of the PAC was in 1985, covering a W&J football team that was on the rise under head coach John Luckhart. Ever since then, he has covered not just W&J, but has covered a slew of PAC events, tournaments, games, and many of the teams represented here today. He's always stressed to me the quality of each of these schools, and it was because of that when I was coming out of high school doing my college search, many of these schools were the ones I was looking at. I'm not the only member of my family to select a PAC school to attend. My sister Milana, who's here today, is a current graduate student at Case and was an undergraduate student there as well. When Bob Gregg and Mark Uriah received this award 2 years ago, that is when I truly began to understand and value the Dow Carnahan Media Award. And it's simply because, Bob and Mark are two men who I really look up to. I've gotten to work with both of them, and it's been a true pleasure to work with those two on WJPA radio. And I know how much it meant to my dad that Bob and Mark received that honor, considering that, he has not only been able to work with both of those men over the years, but he's been able to call both of them friends. Whenever I was notified that my dad was going to be nominated for this, it was really a true source of honor. It was first mentioned to me earlier in the summer by W&J Sports Information Director Shay Stanton, and then when I found out that Grove City Sports Information Director Ryan Briggs nominated my dad, that meant just so much to me and my family, especially coming from someone like Briggsy, who, as many of you I'm sure know, he adds an immeasurable amount of value to this conference. When my dad informed me a few weeks ago that he would be this year's recipient, that pride I felt was increased and shared among the whole family. So, while I have had the pleasure of calling past Carnahan Award winners friends, colleagues, and mentors, it's with pride and love that I introduce my first and most influential mentor, and the man I call Dad.
First of all, thank you, St. Vincent College. This is a great setting. I just spoke on the way up in the van to be here. I was explaining to the young man that was driving. When I came up here as a boy to watch the Steelers with my dad, this is a totally different look. It's beautiful here. It was kind of raw way back then, and camp was way rawer. So I want to wish good luck to all the teams. I'm prideful to cover this conference, particularly in football and baseball, but in football because you've come a real long way. And you talk about open. And I thought about Briggsy's poll, and I got about 5 different winners so far, so I have no idea who the hell I'm picking. But it'll be a quality team. I also want to congratulate Geneva College coach Gino DeMarco. An outstanding career. I know it's your final year. You're going to retire. But be proud of what you established at Geneva. I know my friend John Parado is very close with you. And I know what you mean to him. And I got a pretty good idea what you've meant to Geneva. Good morning. I'd like to thank the PAC, particularly Brian Rose, Assistant Commissioner, and Commissioner Joe Underco, for selecting me for this Dow Carnahan Award. I am humbled and proud to be here today to accept this prestigious award from a conference that is very dear to me and one I've followed since a little guy. Trust me. I lived 2 blocks from W&J when I grew up, and I watched all these teams, all your schools. With Brian and Joe here, guys that I admire greatly, I assure you the PAC's in great hands. Great hands. I didn't know Dow, but I always knew of him. His work, his reputation amongst his peers. But I do know some of the former recipients of this award, Joe Toscano, Ken Wonderly, and of course my 2 good friends, Bob Gregg and Mark Uriah, WJ Radio. Bob and Mark and I have been on countless trips with countless memories, laughs, and conversations. I will never forget those. The time I've had covering W&J athletics and PAC athletics for the Observer Reporter, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's former Zone editions, and the former Pittsburgh Sports Report, and now as a freelance writer are special to me, and those times have helped define my 40-plus year career. Without question, I stand here today because of my family. My wife Marissa's here, my daughter Moana, and my son Jack. And I would absolutely be remiss, because she wasn't too happy when we left this morning, to mention our 16-plus-year-old miniature poodle who runs the Sacco house. Trust me, these all are the joys of my life. I must thank a few people. John Lockhart at W&J for a young reporter came to cover his building program, and he gave me access to stories, players, coaches that would not happen today, trust me. Can't happen today. But I won't forget that. I want to thank several other people at W&J. Mike Sirianni, Jeff Mountain, Gina DeRubo, Mike Orstein. Those are Hall of Fame people. And the late Vicki Staten and John Eunice. Athletic directors Bill Duquette, Scott McGinnis, who I know gets tired of me making phone calls to him, and Coach Lockhart. Sports information directors. And in my time covering a PAC, the sports information directors is endlessly good, trust me. Those people, Kurt Keel, W&J, Scott himself, Aaron Thompson, Shea Stanton, several other president athletes, student athletes, who were kind and courteous through the years, through 40 years, with their time and their comments. And a lot of us have remained friends through the years. It's relationships and friendships that you build that matter the most. Remember that, guys. What you do now will stay with you. I also have a great friend in Ryan Briggs. I didn't know he nominated me, but thank you, Briggs. Love you. He's the best SID in the country as far as I'm concerned, all divisions. Randy Gore, he's not here today, a great announcer and the PAC Network's father. And some other people, Tim Fusini, athletic director at Waynesburg, Sean King at Allegheny, Jeff Ziddick not only was a great SID at St. Vincent, he's a great bowling coach, and he's probably the best harness racing announcer in the country. And I got to mention this other guy. You know, if you know me, I don't give too much credit to CMU. But Bruce Garson was an outstanding SID. And speaking of the Tartans, don't worry, I'm not going to go real low. Not real low. I just find it, I might have ruffled a few Tartan feathers through the years, maybe. But it seems suspicious to me that when they vacated the PAC, I consequently get an honor. So I'm just saying, as I continue to write about W&J athletics and serve as a radio partner with Bob for W&J home games, the joy remains. I love preparing for games that I announce by watching film, talking to W&J coaches, opponents' coaches. I tried for players, but I don't think any of them trust me enough to give me their players for a few minutes. But preparation is paramount. You guys know that. It's exciting. Working with Bob, consummate professional, is always a joyous occasion. Well, at least till when W&J fumbles and he gets a little pouty. But he lifts me up, and he's taught me about announcing. And he means a great deal to me as a colleague and a friend. He has allowed me to sit side by side with my son, who works in the W&J athletic and SID departments, and works for Mike and works for Coach Mountain doing analytics. That opportunity is beyond rewarding for me. I relish telling stories through the written word and word of mouth. I cherish every opportunity. I have strived to be factual and fair throughout my career as a journalist and reporter. The questions, admittedly, are sometimes tough. And I know they're not always well received, right, Mike? But your responses, you can count on, will be reported with sincere accuracy and import. Dow was well liked, and he earned that respect and trust through hard work and kindness. I hope my body of work has gained respect and is valued for accuracy and fairness. I thank you so much for this award, and thank you for always being willing to answer my questions and trusting me to return a result that is on point and meaningful. God bless you all and those you love. Thank you so much.